Bob.
Oh, I like that. Nevada Bob. I like that.
I think I saw a movie with that name.
Yeah.
Yeah, there might have been. Hey, Bill Willits. How you doing?
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Bill.
Good. How are you?
Hi, Bill.
Hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hey, I got a question. How do you raise your hand?
Oh, are you okay? Wait a minute, Bill. Okay, down below on your screen there, just hover your mouse. You'll see participants, and you'll see chat and stuff like that. Click on participants, and when you do that, you'll see in the middle. You'll see where you can mute or unmute, and also raise hand and lower hand. Do you see it?
I see a mute button.
Okay, to the right of that should be your raise hand.
It says rename.
I'm sorry?
It says rename.
Rename?
Yeah.
I see, no, not on mine. I've got mute me or unmute, and I've got raise hand to the right of that. Or it could be lower hand. If
It's on the bottom. It's on the bottom. I see it. Okay, yeah.
Well, it could, yeah, you're right. It could be in the middle or the bottom. You can rearrange where you click. I've got chat up. I've got the chat feature up. That's why mine's a little bit different. Okay, you found it then.
Yeah, I got it.
Well, that's how you do it. And if you raise your hand and you get a chance to talk to us, then please lower your hand when you're done.
Yeah, this could be a busy call, so we're going to have to use the raised hand method.
Yeah.
I'll do what I can.
I'm just checking to see if we've had an influx of new members this week, and I was expecting to have some come on. Usually people first time have a hard time getting on Zoom.
Yeah, getting used to it.
But if they come on, we'll just take a pause and have them introduce themselves. But we might as well get right into it. The purpose of tonight's call, for the first hour anyway, is to go to the next step. We've elected our treasurer. Hi, Miriam. And our next step is to discuss what banking situation we would like to get involved in. It should be a pretty interesting discussion based on Thomas's last call, talking about the banking situation going forward. And also, I discussed earlier with Phyllis, having to do with, do we want to set up a PayPal account or something similar? So with that said, feel free to raise your hand. And I'd like to start with our treasurer, Miriam, and if you could give us your ideas on that, take it away. Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, I think PayPal is probably one good kind of backup to have. I've trying to do a little research and honesty on the banking side just because of how everything is going right now with just the world. I don't know if there's really any banks that I trust 100% right now. So I think it's, we should probably kind of maybe all do a little bit of homework. I'm actually looking at moving some investments, so I'm kind of looking anyways. So I'm happy to make that kind of a priority and maybe do an update next week and get some examples, just because I was just looking at some basis. I'm pulling my own money out of the banks that I'm in now just to kind of have it for safekeeping. So I wouldn't know which direction to even go as far as if there's even a safe bank to use. Yeah, right. I think, I know there's some other services as well in addition to PayPal. So I'm not sure who actually like runs those. So I'd also be willing to kind of dive a little deeper and make sure that is a safe bet. I know Venmo is another option. Wouldn't necessarily put that as a priority over PayPal. I think PayPal is probably a little more reliable, but I do know there's some other services in the market. So I'm happy to actually do a little more research myself. But I know if anybody else has any knowledge in that sense. I always used kind of traditional ways, and since those are all questionable, I'm kind of myself doing my own deep dive into what we can actually kind of feel is reliable right now. And perhaps it's finding like smaller kind of credit unions or smaller kind of local type establishments that are not run by big corporations. Looking at, like, I know there's some local credit unions. I know my family all served in the military, so they have kind of specific credit unions they use. I don't know if those are any safer. I would probably think they were safer than like a Bank of America or a Bank of the West or any of these big ones. But that's another option we can look at as well. But I would actually like to dive into that deeper, unless there's anybody else on the call that has some other ideas, just because right now our economical system is so chaotic. I don't think anybody knows which way to go with anything.
I was wondering about Patreon because Thomas seems to trust it. That's where he has us supporting him. So I'm thinking, what do you think? Follow the leader and try Patreon? I don't know that it's safer than PayPal. I just, I find PayPal a necessary evil at this point.
Yeah, I think they all are, right? I think if Thomas is using it, that's also a very positive sign that we should probably take light in.
Sorry, I came late. So were you looking to open an account to receive money? Is that the objective?
Yeah, so we're looking for banking, what we want to do as far as getting a fund. If we want to use a bank or a credit union, what do we want to use for payments, how we want to kind of fix up the lines.
Well, the good thing about the credit union, they don't charge you fees. You can have no money and you have an account. At least the one I have.
Yeah, they're pretty good. There's one in San Diego that I know I really enjoy. So that might be an option. And we set up one up locally for everybody in the state, kind of, in various areas that there's bigger collaborants. I don't know if we want to start with one and branch out, but I think that's a good option.
I remember Thomas, when he talked about the bankings going down, he said, you shouldn't have the money in the big banks and go to the credit union. And that's what I did. And I opened one in Gold One. And they told me that that's the money is from the people. The concept is the bank is supported by the people. It's like, it's not a corporation. So I kind of like that.
I agree with both of you. Let me just say this. This is nothing urgent, obviously, because we don't have any funds at this point that, we would want to deposit into a bank account. My experience with banking, I've only dealt with one bank, and it's probably the same bank I've dealt with for 15 years, just a small bank. And I go at the first of every month when funds come into the account, and I take it all out. I leave like $100 in the account, and they don't have a problem with that. Nobody gives me a hard time. They just peel off cash, and I just walk out, and that's it. But in our case, let's be honest. All of these project ideas and proposals that we are all putting together, a lot of them are going to require a lot of funding, and the funding's not available yet. So this is why I say this is not urgent. We're just discussing this so that we make the right moves, and everyone's comfortable with the decision that we come to. Miriam mentioned credit unions. They don't, I think it was Miriam, they don't require any deposit or to open the account. They don't require anything. That might be a way to go temporarily. As far as the reason I mentioned PayPal was because if we were to decide among the group to start putting a monthly
I know that
donation, let's say, such as Thomas and Alan and some of the other groups have set up with the People's Club. $1 a month. Other people put more. I know I do. And, I mean, who can afford the price of a coffee, let's say, or the price of a beer? And such as Alan explained, in Ireland, $5 a month. That's nothing. So if we were to decide to do something like that in our own group, I could see setting up a PayPal account. And that's another one I've had. That's how I'm able to donate. I don't use credit cards ever. So the only way I can donate to these groups that I support, such as Thomas, such as Tom.
Well, they probably just let it public.
Ask if Bezos owns Google.
Such as Thomas, Alan, and other groups that I participate with. The only way I can donate to them is by way of PayPal. And I've never had a problem with them. I have to admit that. It's not by way of a credit card. It just comes right out of the bank account that I just spoke about, and I've never had a problem. I've probably used it for, I don't know, 8 or 9 years. I'm not saying that they're good or bad. I don't know. I don't know who they're connected to, but I've never had a problem. So tonight we're just going to discuss this, and then we can, if we come to an agreement, we can put it to a vote. And if not, we can, let it go till next week. So who's next? Who would like to talk about that?
I think Bezos does.
Real quick, Raw Daddy's iPhone. Yeah, unmute. Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Who?
Are you a new member?
Yes, I am.
What's your name?
James.
And there's other guy named Sergi.
James Hall?
Yes.
Oh, hi, James. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Great, thank you. Since we have you available, why don't you introduce yourself to the group? We'll pause for a moment. And tell us a little bit about how you discovered THI, how you came to THI, and just give us a little bit of background on what brought you here. Thanks.
Well, I'm very new, very, very new to the group. I've been listening to Thomas now for, maybe 6 months, and started doing some investigation and found out that there was a Facebook group. I'm not on Facebook very often, although I do have quite a few followers. I decided not to really participate with Facebook all that much, but I found you guys, and this is my first meeting, and I'm just very curious to find out where all this is leading.
Okay, thank you. And where are you from, James?
I'm from Los Gatos, California.
Thanks so much for jumping right in, James. I know you just came in yesterday. Thanks for coming on. Hang with us. We're just in a little bit of a discussion. In the second half of the call, we're going to go into an open discussion. So hang with us, and we'll get back to you. One other person I just noticed either is a new member or could be a visitor. Thomas.
Whoops. We lost your sound, buddy.
Yes, good day. Good evening.
Is this Somas?
Yes, this is Somas Wadai. I'm a Sahani.
Hi.
Hi there.
Please introduce yourself to everyone in the group and tell us where you're from and give us a little background on what brought you to THI, if you could, Somas. Thank you.
Okay. Somas is my Cherokee name. My name is Thomas, English name. I've been involved with the Cherokee Nation of Indians and the Elders Law Council and the Fire Council. I've been studying and following law since 1982. I was a man who helped Irwin Schiff for approximately 11 years. I learned everything I could possibly find out about income taxes. I became aware of Thomas, I believe, back in July or August, and started listening to the Spreaker calls and the YouTube videos. And I got onto MeWe, and apparently I upset somebody by making a statement that the woman reminded me of my grandmother, and I was kicked off of MeWe, and I couldn't figure out how to get back involved. I meant it as no harm. That woman, my grandmother, was a very influential party in my life. She taught me a lot of things in my life, and I had no intent of being disrespectful or distasteful in any way, shape, or form. So I've also been following. We're aware of a process now. It's basically filing the petition of remonstrance. We have the right under Mason's Manual on California State Legislature follows Mason's Manual, which is the legislative procedures for the legislature. And that is the source book for the state of California, along with about 44 other states. In Section 73 of that document, it states that the people are fully vested with the sovereign authority of the state, and they have, through and by their elected representatives, they have standing as we the people under Article 4, Section 4, which guarantees us a Republican form of government. So when we go back to a specific section, people of each state are vested with the sovereign authority expressed by the elected representatives serving the legislature. We go back to Section 7. It states in there in Mason's Manual, this is the 2010 edition, which is still in force and effect, being organic in character, constitutional provisions stand on a higher plane than statutes and are mandatory. So I've been heavily involved with a group called E-Clause out of Florida, and we're in the process of merging the legal and equitable title to collapse the trust and do a complete forensic accounting using the petition of remonstrance under Jefferson's rules as well as Mason's Manual here on the state of California. So I could probably sit and talk to you for about 3 or 4 hours, but I'm not going to take any more time. Thank you for the opportunity.
Well, Tomas, maybe you'd be able to help us with our alloidal title when the time comes to acquire some land.
Well, the fact of the matter is, alloidal title is not the highest.
Yes, it is.
Actually, when you look at the placement in the state of California, 90% of the assets carried over in 1914 through 1917 into what's called land patents. Those land patents, due to the fact that everything was put into abeyance, there's no property rights left. The only way you can declare the property rights is to merge the legal and equitable title of the infant decedent and take possession of the proceeds in the infant decedent's estate. And under Title 31, 363.6, it defines who a minor is. A minor is someone who has yet to reach the age of 18, or somebody who has but is yet to claim the securities held in the minor's account. So when you look at DE 140 and DE 150 for the state of California, those are the proper probate forms to go ahead and effectuate the merging of the legal and equitable title to close down that trust. So there is a higher form of owning the land other than a alloidal title.
Good to know.
Yes, very good to know. Thank you, Thomas. Hang with us. Our first hour is we're discussing our future banking situation that we need to set up for the group. in the first hour. The second hour is going to be an open discussion, so we will get back to you on that. We'd love to hear more.
Very good. Thank you.
So whoever would like to chime in on...
Jim, excuse me, Jim, I'm chiming in because I have got chat messages in from Glenn Minnick out of Nevada, and you want to let people know that you want to bring it up now that we've got more people on about Nevada joining us tonight and so on?
Yeah, Glenn contacted me today and asked me if the Nevada members, they're not quite up to speed yet in Nevada, and they just want to sit in and listen to what we're doing and get some ideas so that they can get their group back up and running. I think Bob Petula is the only one on tonight so far. So,
well, Glenn is on.
Oh, is Glenn here? Okay, great. Hi, Glenn. Hang with us, you guys, till the second hour. We're just discussing our next step for the cooperative model, which is happens to be banking. So whoever wants to chime in, just please raise your hand.
Glenn is asking a question coming from April. She would like to know, can a safety deposit box be used? And also, can a money order be used? I would think as long as there was some way to deposit it or some kind of an address to mail to, we ought to be able to set that alternative up for people who don't have credit cards or don't have a way to use Patreon or PayPal or what have you. So.
Good question. I can't answer that.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Please raise your hand if you want to speak. We have a lot of people on the call tonight. Hi, Demi. Good to see you.
Hi.
Hi, Jim. Oh, hi, Demi.
Demi.
Hi, everybody. Nice seeing you.
Hi, Demi.
Hi, Pam. Hi, Pam today.
Who would like to address the banking situation?
If I may inquire, what are you trying to achieve, if I may ask?
Okay, by way of Thomas, you might not have heard this call. The call discussing the cooperative model that all of the state groups are to follow. Creating businesses, profit and nonprofit. In order to do that, and also to assume funding when it's available, we have to have a banking situation set up for the group. So far from what I've heard, obviously nobody trusts the banks. This isn't urgent because, quite frankly, we don't have any funding to put in the banks. It's simply for, let's say, funding what became available tomorrow. We have to have some type of a situation set up where we can accept funding, and Miriam can dish it out to the different projects. Go ahead. Who's next?
Can I say something quick?
Please.
Go ahead.
I think probably the solution, because the priority right now would be to give our donation, and could be a temporary solution, but it has to be one that everybody will have accessibility. You know, if you pay through the phone or you pay through the email or through, or like PayPal. But for PayPal, you need to use a credit card, and people don't have it, so that's not good. There is another, is Sealy, I think, Z as in zebra, ELL, or Silo. Another system like that, but that's the issue. If you don't have a credit card, how you do it?
Okay, hold on, Estelle. That's not necessarily true. I just explained before you came on. I've had a PayPal account. That's the only thing I use. I haven't used credit cards in 10 years. I threw them all away after 2008. got rid of them all, and I've never gotten back into that system at all in any which way. But I do have a PayPal account. That's the only way I'm able to donate to all these different groups, such as Thomas's Patreon, Alan James, and the donation to the People's Club. That comes out of a PayPal account, and it's attached to my bank account that I've had for 15 years, that I'm comfortable with. So it doesn't necessarily, you don't have to have a credit card in order to use PayPal. And I'm not saying that that's the way we should go. I'm just throwing that out there just for you, just so you know.
Okay. Next one with hand raised is Debbie. Debbie, you want to come on?
Yeah. Okay. So I've had PayPal for, 20 years or as long as it's been going on. I've always heard that credit, what do you call them again? The bank, what do you call those, Steve? Credit union, thank you. That they're the safest and probably will last, if the banks go down, private banks, and more likely credit unions will be around. And you can use the credit union through the PayPal. So far, I really like the PayPal. It's protected me numerous times. So that's my feeling on the banking at this point.
Good to know. Thanks, Debbie. In your opinion, when you're talking about credit unions, would you suggest a local credit union compared to a federal credit union?
Yeah. Yes, I would. Yes, because I'm not sure how federal credit unions work, but I'm pretty sure credit unions are kind of a people cooperative of some sort. It's a membership thing. So the federal one is too, but anything with the word federal on it scares me.
Well, they're actually all members by law under the Bank Act.
They're all what?
They're all part of the Federal Credit Union under their oversight. Is THI California? Do they have a incorporation or an LLC or an EIN through the Department of Treasury as of yet?
No.
Okay.
Reason being is, again, you'll have to go back a week or so and listen to the call by Thomas, Liam from Scotland, and Alan James discussing the cooperative model that we're all seeking to use as a business entity. And as of now, we haven't gotten into any of those type entities, LLCs, nonprofits, corporations, any of that, for a lot of different reasons. But if you go to that call, you'll find out more about that.
Can that call be archived?
Yes.
Because I don't know how to access that.
Who's speaking?
This is
Thomas.
Thomas.
Oh, okay, Thomas. I'll send that to you first thing in the morning, okay?
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Kimberly is next. Kimberly.
Hi guys. I think the credit union is good. I like it. I've had them before, and when I did, they were really amazing. I'm in two small local banks. One's Umpqua Bank, and it's in Oregon and California. Great. They have free ice cream and they give dogs water. I love it. The second bank is a local bank that was started by doctors. It's called Tri-Counties. I don't know if it's all over California, but I've had that bank for 30 years. And so far it's been really good. But there was a credit union that I was in, was Sierra Central Credit Union. But as I was looking through these, the one with 5 stars from the most people was called Members First. Have you guys heard of it? Members First Credit Union. It could be one that we want to take a look at. It seems like the other ones had like 2 and 3 stars. Golden One had 3 stars, and I think Sierra Central had 2 stars from a bunch of thousands of reviews. And this other one, Members First Credit Union, had 5 stars. So it seems like it's a pretty good one. That was it.
Okay, doke. Well, I've got another question in chat here from Glenn. He says, don't you think once the funding goes through, Kim, I think he means Kim, the trust Kim, already would have safety issues nipped in the bud? April asks, what about our own THI banks? That's a pet topic of mine, too.
Okay, well, that also was covered on that call. Eventually, along with the TPC website that's going to be provided to each group, it was also mentioned that, let's say, each state group will be their own bank. TPC, Kimberly, do you remember that being mentioned? Okay, the TPC, right. Let's say TPC California, which we will eventually be transitioning to. We will be our own bank. So what we're discussing here tonight is a temporary situation for the purpose of, let's say, like Bill always says, what if funding becomes available tomorrow? Are we ready to accept it? No, we're not. So we're discussing tonight the possibility of setting up a temporary banking situation for the purpose of receiving funding, and also, like I mentioned earlier, setting up a possible PayPal situation so that we can all start kicking in whatever, $1 a month, $5 a month, whatever you feel like, and getting some funding of our own established that we can eventually transfer to the TPC California Bank, you know, when that takes place. Did I answer your question? I'm sorry. Did I answer your question?
Tomas has his hand raised. Tomas, go ahead. Unmute.
From a standpoint of logistics, the people that would have to be, there would have to be people set up either as the board of trustees or a board, and the party who is the party or parties who are signatory on the count would have to be in a demographically close area. So I don't know where the demographics are with the people that are on this call right now, but in previous trust business, that was one of the biggest obstacles that, as a trustee, I would have to properly address, and also properly make sure the parties who were coming on to be additional signatories on a trust account were, number one, trustworthy and available. That is a big issue. It's the demographics of where the parties are at. If Jim, I don't know where Jim, you're located. I'm located here by Yucca Valley. That is an issue, because if you set up an LLC, or you set up some type of a trust account or a corporation, you have to have a board of directors, and you have to have those parties be present at the signing to open an account based upon, number one, you obtaining an EIN from the Department of Treasury Internal Revenue Service as a cooperative. Now, business cooperatives do exist. There's there's 978 energy co-ops across the United States. I believe there's about 11,000 business co-ops, but they almost always operate as like a farmer's market type of co-op, and their business plan is tied directly to that, with 4 to 6 people involved with the co-op. So then again, they have a demographic connection because they're close by to each other. So based upon the people in the demographics of the state of California and where they're located, might be a pretty heavy obstacle to overcome until more people in the general vicinity become members of THI, California. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Thomas. And
Can I ask?
I believe you're correct. 1 second, Estella. If I'm not mistaken, what you're saying is in order for us as a group to open a bank account, whether it's from a regular bank or credit union, whatever, in order to do that, we would first have to be established as a LLC, so to speak. And then open a which would mean we'd be opening a corporate bank account or checking account. Correct?
And if you do that on California, if you open up a corporation, there's a corporation tax. I believe it's $800 a year.
Right, California.
Yeah, LLCs I think are $295, but you can have a foreign LLC like established in Wyoming, or a trust established in Wyoming. Wyoming's the big state now. But there again, having a bank, a financial institution that you want to do business with, that is in a demographic area that is close to the signatories, either of the trust or the group or the co-op or whatever. So.
Okay. Last week, let me say this real quick, and Stella, we'll get right to you. Last week we established a treasurer for our group. So would it be possible to have our treasurer set up a banking account, temporary banking account for the group?
Well, based upon,
I mean, why do we have to go by their rules? I understand what you're saying, but we're a different kind of group. We like to do it our way. So we trust Miriam, who is our treasurer. And why can't we just have Miriam open up a banking account or a credit union account in her name for our group? Anyone have a problem with that?
Well, if she tried to open it up in the name of the group, she would be required to produce either trust documents, LLC documents, or something like that. And she would also have to be a minute reflecting her appointment as a treasurer. Are you familiar with the 10 principles of governing procedure and group decision making?
Nah, I don't pay attention to that stuff, but I'm sorry. I don't mean to be rude, but we could discuss that further in the second hour, if you don't mind, Thomas.
Not at all.
Can we go to Estella?
I have a question. I like the model of the cooperative, of the co-op as a form, as a temporary. There's supposed to be 5 people, you said. This question is to Thomas, the new person. So there's 5 people need to be in vicinity to follow the procedures, correct?
Yeah, whoever's going to be signatory and or be a part of the group, whether it's a trust or whatever. There has to be trustees. There should be at least 3. And so they need to be in a demographically near area. I mean,
okay.
That's thing you want to do is travel 40 miles to sign checks. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so yeah, I understand. So this is the second question related to that. So we discussed a week ago if we have this cooperative system of organization, everybody's going to be somehow learning and participating in the task of other people. So if we create this at the beginning during a period of 6 months and then goes to in another geographical location, another 5 people, is this where they have same bank? Is that possible that we can transfer this positions as trustee or I don't know the aspect name of these 5 people, but we will be sharing the responsibility, and we can do 6 months south, 6 months center, and 6 months north, for example. But we are all in connection, but there are 5 people always, signing the papers and the checks and things like that.
Well, the fact of the matter is there's a thing called minutes of the meeting. In other words, when the board of directors or the trustees gets together, they have someone who takes the minute orders, and they create the document showing that was unanimously passed that Mr. A, Mr. B, and Mrs. C are now going to be appointed as the trustees and signatories on the account. That is basically how they want to see it. They want to see either the letters of incorporation or the letters of the LLC and or the first cover page of the trust. So that's I've dealt with banks for more than 45 years as trustees, probably with over 45 different trusts. So I've become very aware of it because of my experience. However, in the last 6 to 8 years, the threshold, the bar has been raised for trust because of the fact that they think that they're operating as alter egos from the standpoint of the IRS. They've been used primarily to avoid taxation. However, if you set up a cooperative, a business cooperative, and you have a board of directors of that business cooperative operating as an LLC, you might be able to get that into, a credit union. I just went on to the members credit union and the one up in Sierra County. And so the issue is now is where are the people located that would be privy to or be part of the governing board of THI California. Well, those are issues that they're logical issues. They have to be addressed because of demographics.
Okay, the next person up is Debbie Durham. Debbie?
So Golden One, I was actually a member of Golden One Credit Union and lost it in 2008, and they were fabulous, and they've got a number of branches. I'm not sure where Miriam is, but if there's a good credit union near Miriam, I don't know how many people are near her, but that might be how we choose the people that share it with her, if we end up doing it that way. And like you said, we're going to end up becoming our own bank anyway. But I just wanted to put that in for Golden One, and whatever that first one Kimberly said, that sounds good too.
Okay. Thank you. All right. The next, Demi, you took your hand down? Did you still have something you wanted to say, Demi?
Yeah, I do. I like what Jim said. I like the simplest approach is the best as far as I'm concerned. I dread going any deeper into this swamp than we have to. I'd be happy with somebody just had a credit account, credit union account or something like that. We could access this online, those who would be given certain permission to look at it or make perhaps withdrawals from it or deposits to it. And we just kind of keep it in-house, and we wouldn't have to involve any other authorities or rules or regulations or all the labyrinthine kinds of things they force us to go through. Simplicity until finally we can be our own bank. But in the meantime, I never go to the bank. I do everything online, and I don't see why anyone can't do the same. But I would favor that approach if we can possibly do it. That's all.
Okay, that sounds great. Good to see you, by the way.
Oh, good.
Okay, Kimberly.
Hi, I like that approach too, but if we have to do something different, as far as Tomas was saying that the meetings, I'm not sure we all have to be in the same area because we could Zoom it. We could do the Zoom call. The people that need to be on the board could Zoom the meeting, transcribe the notes, the minutes from the meeting, post them in THI California for us all to see, and still go by the PayPal account, right? And have Miriam be the treasurer.
Sounds reasonable. Okay, and the next one is Willow.
Hi, everybody. It's good to see everybody. I actually have two credit union accounts, and one of them is when I lived in Napa, I opened up a Golden One there. Actually, I opened up a Redwood there, and I was able to open it. If I did not live in Marin, they wouldn't allow me to open up an account. I had to be in the demographics. And so I also have a Golden One, and the Golden One, so Redwood is only in Marin. Golden One has, when I traveled throughout, the United States, only in California was the Golden One, and they have, I found when I traveled up and down California, is that there were lots of branches. My experience in using the credit unions is that if I didn't have a branch near me, then I could use a sister branch. And the sister branch could be any credit union that's on their list to be able to cash a check, because I needed funds wherever I was, especially when I went towards New York. I needed cash. So because I always had to look online to find out what the sister bank was to be able to go in there and cash a check. And there was a fee as well. So I understand what Tomas is saying about the demographics, that you have to live in that area. I also looked into other credit unions, and again, they said, well, you can open up an account here, because I was going to stay in Southern California with my sister, and they said, however, your driver's license, you have to have an ID that you live in that area. So anyway, that's what I learned about credit unions. My thought is that if we do open up a credit union, what I did when I was traveling, because credit unions, I traveled so many states, from here to New York, all the way to Washington, and I needed cash, and sometimes it wasn't easy to find the sister banks, and so what I had to do was I had a small amount of money in Wells Fargo, because once Thomas reported Wells Fargo, I withdrew everything. And I was able to go in there, cash a check from my credit union to be able to get funds out from using Wells Fargo, the main bank. But we don't want to go that avenue of using Wells Fargo anymore. So anyway, that's been my experience. So just wanted to.
Okay. Thank you very much, Willow. Pam J. Hey, Pammy.
Hello. I have been a member of San Diego County Credit Union for close to 10 years now, and they've always been very helpful to me. I usually go in once in a while to withdraw some cash, but I'm currently having my paycheck direct deposited, and I can check online and see what's going on. And so far, everything's been fine with them. Very little mistakes, and they're corrected easily. And they're also at least to San Diego and Orange County.
I think we lost you, Pam J.
No, I'm still here.
No, she may have just stopped.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks, Pam J. Are you familiar with that one also, Jim, from San Diego?
No, I'm not. Like I said,
okay.
I don't like any banks.
Well, that's right. Okay, that includes credit unions. Okay, I got it. Okay, no problem. All right, we're back to you, Tomas.
The issue of people having historical business dealings with a trust, with a credit union, could be beneficial.
Tomas, I'm sorry to interrupt, but can hardly hear you.
Can you hear me now?
It's a little better.
What I was going to say was the people that have existing accounts with credit unions, based upon, I don't know where they're located on the state, if you could possibly go in and find out what their requirements would be, because you have a trusted relationship with that credit union, find out what the criteria would be for them to open a account either as an LLC or a trust at that facility. Let them know what your intent is. Of course, when I brought up this specific issue, it's very important because banks understand the principles that govern procedure and group decision making. And when you have a trust that's set up and it's ironclad, they know that they're number one, it's going to be followed to the letter of the trust document itself, i.e. the indenture. And they know there's going to be no fraud, trick, or deception resulting in injury to another member of the trust. So usually a trust is for a specific beneficiary, okay? And the trustee is acting as a fiduciary for the benefit of the party, the settler, who's brought the assets into the trust. So an LLC might be the way to go. But when I talk about these 10 principles that govern procedure and group decision making, this applies in every aspect of commercial intercourse, commercial dealings, and everything. Because remember, 41 of the signers of the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution were merchants. So our country is based upon dealing in good faith with clean hands in good standing. So with that, I'll yield.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else want to weigh in on that?
Yes, it's Sean.
Hey, Sean.
Hi, everybody. I'm with keeping it extremely simple. I have vast experience with trusts, many different kinds, financial, estate, and pension planning for 25 years. Let's keep it simple. Let's keep them out of it. We don't need to complicate things with all of this stuff. That's my humble opinion. Might not sound very humble right now, but it's a good opinion, believe me. I'm
Absolutely.
with you.
You sound better. You sound better, Glenn. I'm sorry, Sean. Thank you.
Thank you, honey. I love you too.
I like that idea of keep it simple and not to go into the metrics, because we're gonna create something new, and we just need to be patient. So otherwise, we put a lot of energy in something it's not necessary.
Yeah, because I left post after post after post, everybody, about things are going to change. And who knows what we'll need. Common law trusts, well, they're going to have huge, what they call material changes in them, as to where the beneficiary, only if it's properly set up in the last 30 years, and those people can still get busted for it as soon as they go to court. They're in admiralty law, and that's their domain, and you ain't got a chance. The beneficiary of the trust would certainly have more power and be able to be the owner of the trust and the manager of the trust under Kim and Thomas and us, because that would make sense. It would give us the power that the elites have had with these common law trusts that they've set up. And that would mean you might as well just burn the thing up, burn the trust up and start all over again, because any attorney's going to have you do that. And it's just not time. It's premature. And so many things are going to change. We're not going to have to go through all these rules and regs and all this other baloney to be able to get what we need done. We will have the support and the love of each other to get this thing, all these projects done. And they don't need to be just so complicated by all of this old hat in the past rules and regulations and minutes of the trust. And well, you know, those things are still going to happen, but you know what I mean? All the technicalities and stuff, that's over when we gain power.
Thank you. You're right, Sean. Thank you very much. Pamela's next. Pamela.
I tend to agree to go to the simplest ways that are possible. I agree with Jim on the PayPal because it's so simple, and with Sean to keep it simple and not get involved with all the matrix type stuff. And I love the idea that Kimberly presented to combine it with the Zoom calls so it would be more complete if that's possible and acceptable, that it would work for everything. And that's my input.
Okay, thank you. And Willow, I think you have your hand raised.
You know, several times Kim has mentioned about you can open up your own bank. And I'm inquiring whether maybe Tomas, would you know how to do that, and would you ever consider doing that?
Well, you have to understand operating circulars, number 12 and number 10. Are you familiar with that document?
No.
You know what that document is?
No.
Okay. Operating circular along with the DTCC and the DTC rules basically mandate how a financial institution can operate. So there's a proper way to open financial institutions. You do need to have quite substantial background, i.e. funding, i.e. funds, source. You have to apply to the state for bank charter.
I'm not going to do any of that.
Pardon? Hold on one second, please. This is the operating circular for the Federal Reserve. This is how we do our instruments. I don't know how that works here.
Well, maybe with the U.S. Treasury taking over the Federal Reserve, things are changing. The works for a big change anyway at this point.
Well, if you were to admit it into court, it would be hearsay evidence because we have no firsthand evidence of anything. All we have is hearsay. So, you have operational arrangements for the Depository Trust Corporation. You have the fee guide. You've got the DTC guide. You've got a whole bunch of different guides to go by. I was part of the group that put in $3.8 trillion in 2008 to the Federal Reserve, and we've tracked it all the way to 2020. Right now, in the SIGTARP from 2012, fourth quarter, it shows $132.9 billion to be returned to the taxpayer. So we're in the process of doing that. This has been going on for about 9 months. We've been doing final phases of the operation using the petition of remonstrance.
I don't believe that.
Yeah, under Jefferson's. Anyway.
Talk's a good talk.
I'm sorry, what?
Vicki, would you please raise your hand, hon, if you want to say something? Otherwise, would you please hit your little mute button there?
Sorry.
Okay, everyone.
Bill had his hand raised before. I know you're going to the top of the hour here. Bill Willits, maybe just one more person then.
Yeah, I'll be short. I'll be short. I just want to say, for the time being, the idea of having Miriam having an account and having it connected to a PayPal account sounds good. It sounds simple as long as it doesn't put Miriam in any jeopardy of taxation or something on that for the time being, because things are going to change. And if they don't change, well, we're screwed. But hopefully they will change.
Good point, Bill. And you're absolutely correct. If anyone listened to the last call, Thomas said it himself. If these clowns get their way, the banking situation could be shut down next week. He said early April, and could last for 5 weeks. And damn well that's exactly what they're trying to do. They're trying to turn this whole thing into total chaos. They're doing a pretty good job from what I see. I mean, at the same time, Thomas says they have plans to counteract all this. Great. This is getting to be real interesting. What a show. But thanks everybody for chiming in on this. And it's not urgent.
If I may, one closing remark in regards to the woman who was going to open the account, I guess it was Miriam. Under the income tax code, you're allowed as the giftee, i.e. the party who receives the gift, of up to $15,000. So say there was 20 people in THI, California, and they gifted to you $14,999. You personally would not be liable for 1 penny of income tax or gift tax under the 706 rules for tax filing. And the giftors, the parties giving the gift, would not have any tax liability either. Okay? But now the fact comes down to operating as a fiduciary in good faith with clean hands. So with that, I'll yield. Thank you.
Thanks again, Thomas. Appreciate all the information. And we're going to...
It's Sean.
Go ahead, Sean.
It's about think different.
Yes.
Think forward.
Yes.
Kim is in charge. Kim's in charge of all this stuff, and she has Thomas's guidance and Tomas's guidance. My guidance. Everybody's, Jim, your guidance. We're all going to be part of this, but the main thing is thinking different, because that stuff is old hat. It's what we need to destroy. All of this guidelines, statutory law, admiralty law, all that stuff, gone, goodbye. It's not necessary. It's not going to be part of it. I am sure of that, because all it's done has been horribly problematic with being cluttered up into legalese and acronyms and codes and just stupid bullshit that none of us need. And that is one of her goals. I absolutely do know that. All of us do. So I would not be too concerned about all that kind of stuff. We're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves with thinking about starting a bank and what would happen, how would you do it, and so on and so forth. It's old hat. It's destroyed very soon. Yay!
Okay, thanks, Sean.
Welcome. Thank you.
This was just an exercise to see what everyone thought, and really appreciate all the good comments and ideas. So it's top of the hour. Let's transition into another exercise, if you don't mind.
Well, Jim, I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut off. We have to have a cutoff point, and I know that. But Estella's had her hand raised for a little bit, and she didn't get a chance. Did you have one last thought there on this topic?
Yeah, I want to pick up really good points that people, said. I really want to say thank you for Thomas, all your information that you gave to us. I really appreciate very much your contribution. I think this is really good to be informed. So if we make our move like an easy way, not complicated, but also at the same time, what Kimberly said, to implement the Zoom, and we can exercise, like if we were a trust or whatever, people participate and we make presence and we support the treasury person. And, as a transparency exercise and we participate. I think that's really important, delegate and it function like if we were an entity, but in reality, it's our integrity and our love to the project, That's what I want to say.
Thank you, Stella. I was going to say, Phyllis and I were on a call this weekend where they had a really interesting exercise going on. We simply went around the room and everyone was asked to just comment on the present experience that they're having with this present global shutdown. So if everyone's up to discussing this, again, raise your hand and Phyllis will bring you in and let's just go around the room. Go ahead, Demi, why don't you start?
I've gotten more interested in this and looking at it more deeply and more completely than I have before. And of course, what Thomas has said and what he started saying about it a few weeks ago, I am of the opinion that this is we are under attack. This coronavirus is a big nothing. This is just another SARS. And if you look at the numbers, and I'm getting this together, there's a tremendous amount out there that indicates that this is exactly what that is, nothing. There are many cures for it. This whole thing is being blown up to an amazing extent. And it is, as far as I'm concerned, we are under attack. And this attack is planned, it's worldwide. We see military movement, and I listen to follow out media, and everyone's, oh, it's going to be great because they're getting rid of the whatever. I don't think so. I think this is a very serious situation, and so as you may have noticed, I started posting. I'm going to do my best to reach as many people as I can. Everybody who knows there are problems with the official account, without having to tell them the whole story. Everybody who knows this is one more in our favor because, Thomas said 3 weeks ago or so that he was going to get this nonsense ended the following week. I think those are similar words he used. That's great, but it hasn't. And now 80% of the country is under lockdown. I walk around here in LA and move around, and the number of businesses, the whole economy is shut down. This cannot continue without doing serious harm, deeper harm, but more than that. I don't know what Thomas and Kim can do, and I'm sure they're doing everything they can. But from my part, I want to reach as many people as I can and let them know and why, in ways that they can determine enough for themselves to at least give them the idea there's something wrong with this narrative. Because again, we are under attack. This isn't just a test case. I think they're just seeing how far they can push it. I'll finish in a second. I just posted something called Event 201 I learned about. This was a simulation back in October 18th of last year, where all the usual suspects, the Bill Gates Foundation, the World Economic Forum, all of them got together, the banks, the whole works, and did a simulated coronavirus pandemic rehearsal. And it's on THI, both Cal and the regular group. And look at, there's like a 20-minute video, but the whole thing was 5 hours. And that should tell us exactly what's on these people's mind. This is very serious, I consider. We need to end this, and we need to start beginning to make waves. And I can't rely on Kim and Thomas to pull this off. I don't know what their story is, but I am really concerned about this. We can't go on much longer before we really start to hurt. So I'll leave it at that. Thanks for listening.
Very good. Okay, Willow is next, has her hand up next. Thank you very much, Demi.
So I agree with Demi, and I've been doing my best to try to inform people. Of course, some people look at me crazy when I say, but I always start with that nobody's looking at the economics. Nobody's looking. I let them know about the Federal Reserve Bank. The banking license have been revoked. The 2,000 generals and government officials resigning in the last 2,000 in the last 2 years. The 12 CEOs that resigned last month. You know, I just feed them this thread, and then I say, you need to ask why. They won't even take a flyer from me because of the coronavirus. It's so ridiculous. They have tape on the in front of the grocery store. They only allow 20 people in there. You're supposed to stay 6 feet away from each other. And outside in the line of 15 people, you have to stay at the tape of 6 feet apart from each other. I mean, this is how everyone in this town is so wrapped up in the coronavirus. It's just insane. And even when I go to the park, they stay 6 feet away from me in the park. It's just crazy. And so the only way I have found is to try to reach the young. I met a young man just 4 doors down that just lost his job, and he's got a child. And they won't take a flyer from me because of the corona virus. So I say, look at the People's Club. That's all I could do is direct them now verbally, because I can't hand out my business cards of Kim's and Thomas's business cards. I mean, it's just nuts. I'm living in a household right now where 2 of the males, my son, and 2 of the males that live here are coronavirus phobic. And so anyway, it's just insane. So the only thing I think that we can do, what I've been doing is keeping my eyes open for any shop signs in my area. I'm near the Berkeley area right now, staying with some relatives. It says business closing, then I'm going to go in there and I'm going to let them know about the People's Club. Because I think that everyone in their community, they can do something. And they can let people know about the People's Club, that your business can be saved by educating yourself about the People's Club. The People's Club will buy your company or support your company, but you've got to go co-op to keep your job and the jobs of all your workers. We could all do that. Everyone could do that in THI all across America. We just have to put in a little bit of effort and the time. I was a little late today cooking dinner because I was talking to a couple for 20 minutes in the park. And so when the call started, I just, put and I'm finishing dinner. But we just need to try to educate everyone on the level that they can. I have to be really careful as to how far I push it, because people don't want to hear that the coronavirus is just a cold virus, and so I have to be careful not to say that, and just give them the alternative, just what I feel I can push or say, or what boundary, respectful boundary I have. That moment of time, it's insane. It's just insane. And so I do try to drop just little seeds here and there with anyone who's open. But I think that's all we can do at this point. Anyway, that's just my say.
Okay, thank you, Willow. Kimberly, you're the next person.
Gosh. Hey, guys. I haven't really been teaching anyone personally around here where I live. Almost everyone. I don't really have any friends anymore. I don't really go out a lot anymore. I don't really know anyone. The only people that I could talk to about anything that I'm interested in are you guys. So my one experience with this whole crazy mess was I went out to the Costco because I had to get a very particular item, and they had it looking like TSA. the queuing, there was only 30 people in line, but you had to start at the end and walk up all these queued off rows to get to the line that was spaced out with cones that was 6 feet. So as I'm walking up, I'm like, I'm not going to walk that. No. So I kicked my leg over and stepped right behind the last guy in line. And immediately someone was screaming at me, an employee screaming, "You're a rule breaker! You're a rule breaker!" And I thought, I'm going down. These people are going to beat me straight to the ground. Because when I stepped over, I was like 4 feet from the guy. Not the 6. Literally, I thought these people are going to have me for lunch. It was so awkward and uncomfortable. And I was like, sorry, folks. Sorry. I just don't think this is real. I'm sorry. This is not happening for me. Nobody would even, they were glaring at me. And I thought, oh, my poor silly friends. This is ridiculous. This is crazy. So 30 people could go in and they had these little clickers. And they were marking people that were coming in and then leaving. And nobody could go in until that last person got back out. I was like, oh, this is crazy. This is just crazy. So what I started doing is I started looking at the energetics of it, and I could feel the loosh fest. There's a loosh fest going on right now, number one. So that's going to be what it is. And number two, it is a way for the failing beast to keep its semblance of the illusion of control. But I'd been talking to Estella, and what we talked about was one thing Thomas said that I thought was really important. Remember a long time ago, you guys, when I said we're all connected and we're bright lights? Do you remember what he said? He said, we all got together and we connected our psi fields, our PSI fields, and we became extremely formidable, just like I said we would. So they have to do whatever they can to knock that down. And this is very effective. Not only are the 85% bots that we talked about out there, even some of the awake people are freaking out when they should be in balance. So you can freak out a little bit, but come right back to balance, right? And that's the hard thing. That's why we have to work on ourselves, bring our psi fields up, stay in balance, and connect again. So that's where I'm at.
Okay, very good, Kimberly. Thank you. Pam J, you're next.
Thank you, everybody, for all your comments. I'm kind of like Kimberly. I've spoken out, and so there's not a lot of friends around. But I keep going on. When I go to the store, I feel like I lose the consciousness of their scamdemic and just do what I need to do. And if there's someone I could talk to, I might say a couple of words about scamdemic and this isn't real. It depends. But I feel like taking Bruce Lee's advice to be water. Water flows around everything. It can flood over a dam, even if the clowns are putting their thumb in the hole, and it's going to happen. All of what they're going to do is not happening. It's all illusion. And so we can go on.
Okay, thank you, Pam. Bill, you're up next.
Yes. So I wanted to say we need to remain positive, and the problem with that is there's a fine line between informing people of the truth and being and not going negative. So that's something I'm having difficulty with sometimes. So there's so much going on behind the scenes that nobody knows about it. Nobody is even willing to confront. And there's such a thing as good positivity, then there's delusional positivity. And there's a lot of delusional positivity out there because they just don't know what's going on. If they knew what was going on, then we can, like this group does, then we would be able to put our attention on fixing that and being positive about that. But a lot of people are just wanting it to go back to the way it was. And we don't want it to go back to the way it was. I'm actually enjoying this time off. I think it's great. I hope it lasts until people wake up and decide that we can't go back to the way it was. And I hope my money lasts that long too. But we'll see. That's what I wanted to say.
All right, very good. I'm with you, Bill. Thank you. All right, Tomas, you're next.
Everybody here on this call is from California, correct? So
there are a couple people from Nevada that are joined with us.
Okay, well, welcome. It applies to them as well, because I've looked at the Nevada Constitution. The Articles of the First, which is the First Amendment, Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging freedom of speech, or of the press, or the right of the people to peaceably assemble and to petition the government for redress of grievances. So now, we have all been brainwashed into thinking we can get remedy in their courts. The term of the right of the people to peaceably assemble means bringing your redress to the government in the form of a petition of remonstrance to the legislature. The legislature is where we take our grievances. They're the ones equipped to hear it. We don't belong in their courts. We are guaranteed a Republican form of government, Article 4, Section 4. And when we look at Section 158, where 148 of Mason's Manual, which again is the source book for the state of California, along with Robert's Rules of Order, that is the source book that the state legislature relies on. Now, I posted in here a couple things on Facebook, and I also posted it in the chat here. This is underneath the Legislative Council's Digest for 2020, the 2019-2020 regular session, Standing Rules of the Assembly. This is item number 10. In all cases not provided for by the California Constitution, by the Assembly Rules, by the joint rules of the state and the Senate and the Assembly, or by statute, the authority is the latest edition of Mason's Manual. How many people here on this call know what the Mason's Manual is? How many people on this call know that our proper form to peaceably assemble and take our grievances to the government involves taking it to the legislature? If you want to get results, you have to do it, take it at the right form. You have to take it to the right quorum. That's why it's very important when I mentioned the 10 principles of group decision making. It's very important because why? Under Section 73, it's very important to understand how powerful this is. Section 73 of Mason's Manual. It states, the people of each state are vested with sovereign authority expressed by their elected representatives serving in a legislature. Thus, legislative power is absolute and unlimited except as constrained by Constitution. We go to Section 7 of Mason's Manual, and Mason's Manual says right there, being organic in character, the Constitution provisions stand on a higher plane than statutes and are mandatory. So when we invoke our right to redress our grievances at the legislative level, they have to hear us. When you
Excuse me, Thomas.
Yes?
Just to net this out, just to simplify, maybe net it out, how does this affect you? What can you do with the information you're sharing with us right now personally?
Well, what I'm doing with it, and like I said, I'm going to be merging the legal and equitable title of my infant decedent estate pursuant to 166 of the Book of Infants. And whether or not you guys know what that is or not, I do not know.
Nope,
but
don't know.
The premise of this is we have our remedy, and our remedy is guaranteed us under Article 4, Section 4, which guarantees us a Republican form of government. Our country, the United States of America, is a constitutional republic. So in order for us to communicate to our legislatures where we need to go, we need to follow the source book, which is Mason's legislative manual. Now, Kim has talked about this, as well as Thomas has talked about this, how important our Constitution of this country is. So until the people of this country wake up and see what avenues are available to us, they have to, once they receive a petition remonstrance at the parliamentarian, at the clerk of the assembly's office, they have to read it on the record, period. They don't have any option. So when you understand Section 148 of Mason's manual, it deals with communications and petitions. The communications may come from the executive, judicial, local government officials, or others. So when I make reference to Section 73 talking about the people of each state are vested with the sovereign authority, that's where I'm coming in and bringing my petition remonstrance so it can be heard as my redress of grievance against the government for the activities they've done. In Edgar County, Texas, there were 1,250 Child Protective Services cases that were wiped off the docket. There was 31 people for Child Protective Services that were disposed of, defiled from their position of employment, and I believe there was 4 to 5 judges that left the bench. In Michigan, a woman has gotten her children back, gotten her house back. In Ohio, a gentleman had his children taken. He has now rectified that to an expungement through the legislature in the state of Ohio and Florida, going to the House of Representatives in Washington, D.C., and he got an expungement. So when we're looking for our remedy, it's already there. We just have never been taught how to pursue it because we've always been interrupted by barfly attorneys, which are foreign emoluments. These actors are acting outside of their authority. That's an advantage. It's an unfair advantage because, number one, they do not represent the people. They represent dead fictions in their court systems. They're a private member association. The Bar Association, pursuant to the 1958 congressional hearing on un-American activities, determined that the National Bar Association and the National Lawyers Guild was a front for the Communist Party. So when you want to look about what we can do at a level, each one of us can do, as we can learn how our proper process is to redress our grievance and peaceably assemble and take our redress to the legislature. So with that, I will yield. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Just two quick questions, please. To Thomas, number one, when you're talking about Mason handbook, does that have anything to do with Freemasonry?
Absolutely not.
Okay, thank you.
Nothing to do
the other question is, who is the enforcement arm for these procedures that you're talking about as presenting our grievances to the legislature? Who's the enforcement arm behind all this?
You are, because you're moving them. You're coming in with
okay, one person. That's the enforcement I have behind me?
You get what's called a resolution. You know what a resolution is? A resolution leads to a bill. See, you have a petition, and from the petition you get a resolution, and from the resolution you get a bill, just like what they do in Congress every day. It's the same.
Okay, I can just walk right into the legislature and tell them of my grievances, and they have to honor this.
You have to do it in writing, sir. You have to do it in writing.
Okay.
That's Section 148 of Mason's.
That's all I needed to know. Thank you, Thomas.
Communications and petitions need to be in writing. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Vicki, you're next. Hey, Vicki. Vicki, you got unmute, hon.
Unmute. Okay, am I unmuted now? Hello?
Yeah, yes. You are. Yes, you are.
That is so. I like what Kimberly had to say about when she went to Costco, because they look at you like you're a foreign predator by doing anything other than, being a bot and doing exactly what they say. And same with what Phyllis said. It's like you can't share too much because they just have that gaze look in their eye and they don't want to be too close to you anyway. And the other thing is I wanted to talk about what Thomas was talking about. I'm trying to learn that lingo that he's been drenched in, and it's really hard. I'm just at the very beginning of that. I know that you have remedy, but let me tell you, you step in that court, or if you do it by, affidavits or whatever, and you don't do it right, you're screwed. And you seem very versed. I'm not really that familiar with the book that you're talking about, Mason's Manual. I know about Black's Law Dictionary and those, but let me say this: if you don't do everything right, Jim's right. You don't have a leg to stand on. You don't just go in there and you there's so many even definitions of the judiciary and all of that. There's definitions. There's just so much involved, and if you don't know every little thing, you could wind up going down. So you got to be very careful when you use that, because I'm just scratching the surface. It's really confusing. It's not as simple as you say. Okay, that's all I had to say.
Thank you, Vicki. Okay, Estella. Estella, you're next.
Okay, so everybody knows I'm from Argentina. So I have a lot of people in Argentina, and over there this lockdown is completely different. It's even harder because if people are on the street, they give you tickets, they put you in jail. If you're driving a car or something, they take your car, or you can even lose the car. It's like almost like you're in a war zone. And also I'm connected to people in Europe with these viruses and solutions. And so I research. I knew about this virus since February, and interesting. I work in Sacramento, and every time I'm at the office, I get sick, and no, I don't get sick at the house. And I went to Argentina for vacation, and on 3 days in Argentina, my physical disease disappeared. I stopped bleeding. My digestive system was all good. And I said, what was it? The food or what? What was the problem? Okay, so with this coronavirus, it's very interesting because people start to get, the disease, not even with people connected to people who were traveling. So what I'm trying to give an idea is this is being planned. I saw the pattern of the virus, but there is a multi-layer issues here between China intentions, the city of one, I don't know how you say, one hand or one hole or whatever, and they have an agenda, right? Divide and conquer. The people are in compress, and that has an impact in what Kimberly was saying, the energetics of the people. Also, Thomas said there is no virus. They are the virus, and we need to understand that this reality is inverted. Everything they said is fake. It's actually truth, and what they say as truth is a big lie. And this is called the polarities. What is white and what is black. They play like they are white, but in reality they are very dark. And I understand the sovereignty, how you say, the freedom concept of the law by the books and by the rules. But here we have the organic universal law of freedom as a physical body, as a soul body. But what everybody not understand that the emotional body is crucial, and your immune system and your clarity of thoughts and decisions. And on top of that, we have all this learning that we had, they mind control us in school and everything. So everything is been a manipulation. So, and I know we, the THI, We came together because we want something new. This old cannot go anymore. And the way to get through this storm is being positive, observing the theater of Hollywood, implemented, because there are different agendas. But our plan is the main one. And as I've been listening very careful what Thomas says, because Thomas says a lot of information. And the only thing it stays in my mind and the phrases keep going around in my head, we are the trust. We are the change. And the human body and everybody, conspiracy theories, spiritualist, I don't know how you say, all the different movements out there. In reality, we are creators. But the only way to create this new reality is going to be the new way is for us staying centered and understanding our dream and our vision, what we want, and do our inner work. Because someone said today, I want to be like Lee, be the waters. Yes, that's exactly what we need to do. Because if we focus on the lies and what they're doing, you get upset and you're giving your energy away. But we need to put the energy so the creator, the earth and the whole chaos right now gets balanced. So the earth is going into the evolution. And don't forget, in 12 days, we have Eastern. At the planetary level, energetic of the plasma, of the flow of energy, is a very important moment. So we're going to have these first 12 days, they call them, we're going to have some kind of darkness. Well, what does it mean? Well, it means, could be personally, you purging bad experience, resentments, things that you don't like and they stress you for eons, and you want to let it go. It's like the system of the government. Let go everything, so a pure heart, loving person. When this Kabbalah doesn't even bother you because you see the new earth as this beautiful place we're going to create. We don't know how we're going to do it, but we're going to work together on that. And I think that's what we need to focus. And I think we need to, don't wait for the trust, the funds. We're going to make those funds come to us because the quantum system is going to read our desire and our pure intent, and our hearts are 100% full of unconditional love, that we're going to transform everything and everybody without, how you say it, you don't restrict. Everybody is open to this transition. Even a bad guy wants to become a good guy. That kind of level of internal love we need to have to completely shift everything, clear the waters, they are all dirty, heal the soil, heal the people. But nobody's going to come and save us. The second agenda is Trump with the Patriots. Oh, the White House is going to save us. They're going to get all the bad guys. You know what? I think we're going to save ourselves if we really focus on this and we bring the whole energetic, the universe working with us, because we want to communicate with the trees. We want to communicate bring back the old stuff we got lost, like the stewards of the land, the native people. They respect everything. They were respectful to everybody, the babies and the elders, something that today a normal person doesn't respect anything, doesn't even respect a woman. Yesterday I heard a joke about, I'm spending too much time with my wife and house and this lockdown, and, for me it was rude, because a woman is the most precious, like the planet. It's pro-life. It's creativity, it's love, it's everything. And we lost that in this society. So for me, it's about that positivity of goodness to bring, because we are going to bring it back. And when you work from your pure heart as a white light, nothing bad can hurt you. And that's our protection to get through this storm.
All right. Thank you very much, Estella. That's beautiful. I agree with you. I like what you had to say there.
Sure
Willow, you're next.
You know, with all the craziness going on, what I do is I just try to focus on strengthening myself every single day. Take care of my needs, exercise, take care of my responsibilities with my relatives. I'm cooking 2 to 3 meals a day. I make sure I spend a good 2 hours exercising in the morning, and then I take my 1 hour evening walk with the dog. And the way I look at it is it's just I'm empowering me, because if I'm going to be a pillar out there, if I'm going to come to you, I want to come to you with all of you beautiful people in a very balanced way. I want to be strong with you. And so the whole week, I just shut off the media. I mean, why do I even want to engage in that? It's just dark. It's a circus. So I just try to, and then I spend time, if I have time, on the project, making my way. And by the way, I just wanted to put a plug out there. I've been connecting to the furniture makers, and there's one furniture maker that would be interested in apprenticeship. So he doesn't necessarily want to join the People's Club, but he would love it if he says he only does one table. But I've asked if he would be able to produce 3 sets of the furniture, and he says it'd be great if he can get some help. You know, the People's Club could, so that to keep the cost down, is to find someone who wants to apprentice under him, and then and work with him in creating the furniture. So there's a job there. If anyone knows a furniture maker, or work beside him in creating the furniture. So anyway, the way I look at it is just taking one step at a time every single day, and strengthening, keeping balance, empowering myself, and taking care of me, because they're going to need all of us. They're going to need us to give them hope. They're going to need us to give them a different way. And so anyway, that's what I have to say.
Very good. Thank you, Willow. Anybody else want to jump in? I don't have any other hands raised right now.
I do.
Okay,
It's
Sean. Okay, Sean.
Yeah, I'd like to jump in on I'm going to be as humble as I can about this. I'm going to have to explain some things that I have been through. And in thinking about, you remember back in school, the A students were the memorizers, but not necessarily the thinkers or the imagination type of people that you would really want on your crew if you were going to be doing anything creative. And I don't mean to be too harsh on Tomas, but spewing off all this memorization of legalese and Masons, I guarantee you it's Freemasons, guarantee you that. And page 17, section 7, number 1 and 3. And do you know what that is? Come on, we don't need to be lectured. This guy is underestimating the talent of the group that we have here massively. But besides that, my point is, this is old hat. It's going to be in the past. We don't need any part of what was corrupting up everything in the past. We need to move forward like all of us want to do. He just didn't seem to get it, but I think maybe his heart might be in the right place, and I guess he's a new member, and Great. I love you, Thomas, Tomas, whatever.
Tomas got off the call already, Sean.
Well,
he got off the call a few minutes
hopefully
ago.
he'll listen to this, because I know a few things about being in court. I had 3 common law trusts myself, and I burn them up. And the reason why is because I found out, well, if I wanted to try and use them in court, forget it. And all of these things that there's no way you're going to be able to get an appointment with a legislator in the first place to be able to go over what your proposal is to them about what your needs are and other people's needs are. Your intentions can be just super great, but hey, it's just them, not us. It's just, to them, it's the just us system. You know what I mean? And it's just not going to fly. Things have got to change a whole lot more. And we need people like all of us to not be martyrs and wind up in jail or wasting a bunch of money on these types of things. And it's complicated. I mean, you do have to do it exactly right, but guess what? It does not even matter. I mean, I had to represent myself in court for 2 years. And it was related to a traffic issue. And they tried to bust me for a DWI, then DUI, and then, oh yeah, hey, why don't you read the police report and check out the blood test? There's no alcohol and no drugs. Can you imagine that? 2 years of battling that. Yeah. and things are so corrupt. I mean, they can destroy your life big time. And they hurt me pretty bad. But I did get it reduced down to the lowest of the lowest of the lowest, and that was a dry reckless. And all I did was swerve my car and spill some expensive liquid minerals for my health. And so I grabbed him, and so I swerved the car next to a couple of cop cars. Oh my God, yeah, the guns were out and everything, because, oh yeah, I'm not kidding you. It was absolutely ridiculous. So there's no drugs and no alcohol. I got rid of, fired, whatever you want to call it, about 5 public offenders that they appointed me with. I recused, and that means fire, get rid of 5, that I know is a fact, 5 judges. And boy, were they mad at me. Oh, you better believe it, man. I mean, it takes a lot of guts to recuse or fire a judge, but it can be done. And I did that. And then I started to lose my health with, I started having gallbladder attacks, and I was having one heck of a lot of problems with my back and neck at the time. And it was me getting arrested for being under the influence of extreme pain and exhaustion from taking care of my folks for 4 years. See, I gave up financial estate and pension planning. I had a good practice, the last week was, man, I had, it was a 53,000 plus week for me. Finally, okay, great. And I earned every penny of it, believe me. Because that's what I did. I saved tails. I saved people's financial situations hugely. And so that's kind of like the payback that you can get by bucking the system. And it's, I believe, better for all of us just to kind of lay low so we can work together and be high vibration on that, but not taking all these chances. I mean, kids, don't try this at home. And I paid, I don't know, $2,500 for those 3 trusts, and I burned them. You know, I found out that, it's nothing but trouble. I'm not in their club. None of us are in the elite club, and we can't join it either. But however things are going to change, Kim knows finances, she knows banking, she knows trusts, and she and all of us are going to change this and revamp this whole thing so that all of this Mason's manual due process, page 17 crap is just going to be eliminated. I promise you that. She's not going to allow that to be going on, because that's going back to the old corrupt ways that enslaved all of us. That's slavery. That legalese is just slavery. And so, man, I've been through one hell of a lot, and I'm speaking by absolute experience from the heart here, and I'm telling everybody the truth, and it's just not going to be that way. That's the old way. It's time to move on. And when she's talking about she wants everybody to be their own bank, heck yeah, that's great. And she's planting the seeds. It's just a little bit premature right now. And so as far as the guidelines for starting up a bank, well, that's old hat stuff. That's in the past. And all this other legalese stuff, I mean, it just is, pardon me, but it's just extremely irritating to me, because I've gone through it so many times. I don't know, what, 50 now? Writing posts about don't do it, don't be a martyr. Please, people. You won't get through it. It's their system still, and until it's our system, don't even try. And so just the simple co-op methodology is what is the only thing that's going to work. The rest is just going to be trouble.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Sean. We've got to go on to, I've got 3 more hands raised here, so I'm going to move on. Thank you very, very much. I hope I didn't come off too harsh or upset. No, you said it like you felt and believed. That's just fine. That's just fine. Okay. Pamela is next. Pamela.
Hi, guys. Thank you for all your input. And everything that's been shared so far really is what I'm feeling and what's going through my brain daily. And the balancing every day, as Willow mentioned, is a priority in this time. And I just wanted to share a little experience that I had yesterday. I took a senior friend to go grocery shopping so she could get some stuff, and her allergies are really bad. So she wore a mask, and she happened to sneeze once we got in the store. And the workers behind the counter had their mask on, and some people in the store shopping around us had masks on. But when my friend sneezed, you should have seen all the frightful looks on their faces. So I spoke up very abruptly and said, Trudy, your allergies are really bad today, you know? And then I followed it up with, you know, all the businesses are closed except for the medical and the grocery stores. And, you know, I said loud enough so everyone could hear. I said, you know, all the people, or most of people, a lot of people, are going to restaurants and ordering food to take out and take home. And I said, how do we know that the people that are in these restaurants are not sick or carriers, you know, with this fake virus? And she looked at me, and everybody in the store sort of dropped their jaw and looked at me. And I said, it's one big joke. And I didn't get too many good looks at me, but I figured, you got to bring some reality into the situation when you get the opportunity. So that's what I wanted to share. Thank you.
You're right, Pamela. Thank you very much. Good insight. Demi, you're next.
Yeah, I'd just like to say that I'm not trying to reach everybody. I'm trying to reach a certain percent of the people who can listen, and I'm discovering that I have to really start talking to people like I'm talking to children, because they're so far away from, when I talk about this, because there's so much fear and there's so much ignorance. And so normally I'm not this smooth and polished that I'd like to be. But what's important to me is that the more people I can talk to and communicate with, and they will talk and communicate, we will form networks. Small at first, thin at first, it'll get larger, because I really think that action is a necessary part of this. I'm kind of appalled at what I'm hearing from you all tonight, because I don't have the inputs, how frightened people are and how crazy they are. I'm not sure those people can be reached, but I've decided that, to my motto is the cure for fear, action is a remedy for fear. And this requires action, and it requires education. So if you've got a frightened child and the child is really scared, and you can sit the child down and explain simply and easily why this can't happen. No, a bear isn't going to come into your room because they don't live in this city. Simple things like that.
We've lost your sound, Demi. We've lost your sound, Bob.
Is it better?
Oh, that's good. Okay.
Oh, I got to get closer. So I think that my approach now is going to be, and has been, to be very gentle. But the more people who understand that this is all, it's false. I can give them tons of information, but it has to be done in the right way. Because this is kind of this is a planned attack, and it is a very well orchestrated attack. And I don't know what Kim is doing. I don't know what Thomas is doing, but I can say what I'm doing, and that's just try to bring people light. And there's an awful lot out there, and a lot of people are doing that. So I just think that the action that I'm doing now, and I hope others will, if you like some of it, just share it with other people, and some are already doing that. And small things, one person tells a person, they tell it, it just begins to spread slowly and subtly, and we begin to lower the temperature a little bit, because that's what they're driving this with. Anyway, that's my thing. I think we're kind of in a situation, but I think we just have to stand up and fight it. Anyway, just leaving you with that.
Very, very good. Very good. Thank you. Pam J.
Yeah, I was thinking about what Sean said about flying under the radar. I used to have a little nest egg IRA, and I had some newsletters that would come, and they were predicting, the fall of the financial system. And so because I needed to live on it, I had to take that out and use it. And so I feel, I lost credit cards about the same time too. So I've been in cash, and I feel like that has kept me pretty much under the radar, and so that I can just be myself and buy the things that I need without having a super duper paper trail behind me. And so I know it wouldn't do us any good if any of us were in jail or rounded up and put in a FEMA camp or something. So I'm just going to continue the way I'm going and keep doing that inner work. 45, 55, that's the only way to go now. So thank you.
Thank you, Pam. Okay, Willow, you have your hand up again.
Demi, you are right on. I mean, that's where I'm when I'm sharing the information, I have to go to their level. You're right on. One thing also is that when I share information about the People's Club, I let them know I work for the People's Club. This is my job. This is what I'm doing. Look at this website. And because I work for the People's Club, I think it's not like, well, you know, look at this website. I mean, I'm in the I'm in the People's Club. So I think it lends more credibility, is what I have found talking to the people around here. I just received emails not only in California but from Reno when I was there, and then Colorado. Because of what's going on, they say, Willow, do you have any information of that? I mean, I just send them to Thomas. Thomas's most recent one, and I just sent it when Tom, like the one on the March 30th. As soon as I listened to that, I sent it right out to them, so that they can get insight of what's going on. And my thinking is, just like you, Demi, is that, you know, if this rings right to them, they're going to share it with everyone around them. This is in Colorado. You know, this is in Reno, and this is here. I think that the next day, I didn't know that Thomas was giving the one on March 30th, but the very next day I listened to it, and 5 emails went out. Another one in Arizona. So this is what we can do, is just because we all work for the People's Club, and we are it, and so we can share on that level. Let them know it gets us credibility. That's what I think.
Very good. You know, I'm glad you brought that up too, Willow, because I want to remind people, please go into newearthcalifornia.org, copy a link and share it with people, because it's good for us on our website to have those people go in and take a look at articles and so on. And please too, any articles you find that you think you want on the website, let me know. And with that, I think I'm kind of fading, so I think I'm going to say goodnight to folks. Jim, you're in charge, bub.
Thank you, Phyllis.
Good night.
Thank you all.
Good night, Phyllis.
Stay safe, everybody.
Thank you, Phyllis.
Good
Can
night.
I say
Thanks.
something? It's Sean. Can I say something?
You're up.
Phyllis, we are so fortunate to have you helping us.
She already left.
Well, maybe
She'll
she'll
listen to it
play
again.
it back.
What a guy.
But we are, aren't we, huh? You know?
We are.
Absolutely. Of course.
Great job.
Definitely.
Thanks,
Okay.
Sean.
I'll shut up now.
Jim, this is Pamela.
Go ahead.
And I was wondering, you mentioned earlier that you had the link for that show with Thomas and Liam and Alan. Could
Yes.
you share that on THI or MeWe? I can't find it.
Yeah, I'll locate it, and I will private message you that in the morning.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think Thomas wanted it too.
Yeah, me too, Estela.
Okay, well, I'll just put it on the pages also for anyone that didn't see it. I think it was it might have been a Circle of White Light call.
Oh, I listened to that one, the radio.
Yeah, it was the one with Liam from Scotland, Alan James, and Thomas. I think that might have been the Circle of White Light call. The other one was the call that Thomas put on with leaders and other people from other members from Canada and America, but I haven't seen that.
Oh, okay.
Phyllis might have it, but I'll find that other link to the Circle of White Light call, and that's where they explained all that.
I have
Jim?
listened.
Yes.
Jim, I just wanted to say
Hi, Bob.
This is a tremendous call, and thank you. I want to get a recording of this.
It'll be up tomorrow, Bob. In fact, I'll send it to you personally.
All right, thank you so much. You have a great evening. God bless everyone.
You too, Bob. Thanks for coming.
Bye, Bob.
Yeah.
You too.
Be safe and be happy. Important, be happy.
You are beautiful people. You walk in the light.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. We love you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Feel free to come back whenever you want.
Can I say something? The Circle of White Light video is on Thomas's YouTube. I think it's like the last. I think the third one from the last one he did. So you could find it there as well.
Yes, you're correct. Thank you. Thank you, Willow.
You're welcome.
You guys know me. I always have plenty to say, and I could talk about this present situation for an hour, but I'm not going to do that to you. I'd like to hear from Glenn Minnick, if he's still on. Glenn, can you unmute and tell us what's going on your way and how you're dealing with this present situation? For any of you that don't know Glenn, he's assumed the leadership role to the Nevada group. And they're trying to get that back up and running. Glenn, are you available? Hi.
There I am. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. No, I'm trying to get the group together. I've got, I guess, maybe 7 to 10 members right now. And I just couldn't let this fall apart. I wanted us to get together because I know we can do something wonderful here. And there's so much needed to do in Las Vegas. One of the things that really bothers me while we have this coronavirus thing is I noticed that nobody's coming up with ideas like, hey, instead of clearing land for new apartment buildings that they build 2 feet away from each other, why don't we start clearing land for agriculture right now? And let's get all the important people that know what to grow out here and just start doing it. But instead, so I'd like to be a part of that project. And but that's one of the things is just trying to get enough members together so that we can hold a call just like you are, because this is wonderful. I mean, you have some wonderful people on board there, and I know we do too. We just need a chance to actually shine like you are.
Well, thanks, Glenn. I don't know, have you already established the groups on both Facebook and MeWe?
Just on Facebook. See, I'm so computer illiterate that I'm just walking through this, and Bob has tried to teach me some things, but he's there. I just we live so far away from each other, and I have a hard time getting things as far as learning things, new things, without the hands-on and being right next to the guy, to show me how to do it. But I've been walking through it, and slowly but surely. I wanted to try to get the other members notified about this meeting, but it was just so last minute. I didn't realize you guys were the day that or the evening that I asked. It was happening the next day. So the next.
That's okay. That's okay. You can come back. You can all come back next week or whenever you feel like it. Let me just suggest, I sent you that gal's name, April Johansson.
Yeah, she's on the phone right now listening to this whole
Oh, okay. I didn't know April was on here.
podcast. Yeah. Well, she's not on there, but she's on my phone, and I've got it sitting on my computer so she can hear the meeting.
Okay, great. She seems like the type person you might want to bring in to help you get things started up again. She's been on a lot of the calls recently, and she seems like perfect person to bring in as an admin, so to speak.
Yeah.
And can help you get things up and running. I know you have other members that used to come on this call, such as a gal named, Bob knows her, her name is Fatina. She's in Las Vegas, Bettina.
Yeah.
And there was another gal named Kelly.
Kelly Frog?
I think so, yes.
Right.
So yeah, there's your starting core group right there, We had the same experience in the beginning. There were only 3, 4, 5 people at the most that would come on the calls, even though we had a group of 30 members,
Wow.
But as you can see, as things progressed, look where we are today. And you're right. These are a fantastic group of people.
Yeah. I just want us to have a chance and just really give this a go. This is it. This is number one. But thank you for inviting us. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Keep coming back.
Absolutely.
Did we miss anyone else? Everybody get a chance to speak and tell their experience? Well, I'm just going to keep it brief. I've said this many times before in the past on these calls. In order to build a new house, you have to burn down the old house or dismantle it in some way. And in my opinion, that's what we're going through right now. And for some of us, it's going to be an easy transition. And like myself, doesn't affect me one way or the other. I do the same thing tonight, that I've been doing for the last 8 years, ever since I got out of the system because of 2008. And where are we? This is 2008 on steroids. It's what we're dealing with right now. I hope it'll be stopped. I believe it will be stopped. They're just pulling out all the punches they can. Desperation mode, in my opinion. And but I think we'll get this thing under control and start moving in a positive direction for us, especially. Well, I just wanted to hit on one other thing Kimberly brought up. I had an experience a couple days ago. I went to Trader Joe's, which is close by. That's usually where I shop. And the reason I go there is because it's right up the corner from San Diego State, and the colleges are shut down. So it's probably the only Trader Joe's in San Diego where there's no lines to get in, and there's never anybody in there. Shelves are all stocked. It's no problem. The other day when I went, and I didn't consider it until Miriam mentioned it, people are just now getting their welfare checks first of the month. So she said, give it a few days because all the stores could get real crowded again, and the welfare people will be coming in, cleaning out all the stuff that they couldn't get 2 or 3 weeks ago because they didn't have any money. So anyway, I went up there, and no doubt about it, there was a line for the first time since this all started. There was a pretty good sized line, and I didn't think anything about it. I'm never in a hurry. I go shopping just to have fun, get out. So I got in the back of the line, and I've been just in observer mode through this whole situation since what I believe it started around middle of March 13th. And so I was just standing in line and watching what's going on. And they had these two employees from Trader Joe's that were outside the store, kind of like directing traffic. And I was just watching these two people, you know, and as so many people that came out, they'd let so many people in. You probably all experienced this at other stores. And I just noticed these two people, you know, they were kind of like, you could see, they felt like they were in control of everyone, you know. And one guy, there was a guy and a girl, and they were just Trader Joe employees that they put outside to, you know, direct traffic and keep people behind the 6-foot lines, you know. They'd walk up and down and go, oh, could you please step back a little bit? You know, don't crowd that person. And I'm standing there and I'm just watching all this, and I'm thinking to myself, this reminded me of when I was a kid. I used to watch movies about you know, the Nazis in Germany and all this. And I'm thinking to myself, as I'm watching this, I'm going, this is like humiliation training, what they're putting people through, you know. And these two people were getting off on it. This guy was standing there with a spray bottle, you know, and everyone that the girl said, okay, now you can go in. 2 people came out. Now you can go in. And then they have to walk forward and have this guy spray some foam on their hands. And I'm thinking, this is like insane, like Kimberly was saying. And that's just the feeling I got. It just reminded me so much of, you know, the humiliation training that the Nazis put the Jews through, if that were even the case. I don't really know. I wasn't there. But just from movies that I saw, you know, just a very strange feeling. And I really don't put up with any of it. When I got up to the front of the line and I saw 2 people come out, I just started walking in. They didn't even mess with me. And, you know, I was waiting for them to say, oh, don't you want the spray? You know, and I didn't even bother with it. I just, you know, I mean, that's the last thing you want to do. You know, I mean, I don't believe in this virus at all to begin with, but to have somebody spraying chemicals on my hands, I don't need that either. You know, it's totally crazy. Anyway, yeah. Enough for me. I could go on all night, but I won't. Anybody else?
Jim, I went to Trader Joe's today and I experienced the same thing.
Oh dear.
You know, with the lines, and I wasn't paying attention. I grabbed a cart. Everybody was looking at me. He says, you have to go get in that line. And I said, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't notice that. And she goes, well, you got to take that cart because you touched it. So me and the cart went and got in line and waited. And I said, you know, this is unbelievable. Sheer madness. So I understand what you're saying.
Oh, God. The possibilities are endless. You could start coughing and wheezing and just scare the hell out of them, and you almost want to do it. No, that's not nice. But there's Jesus, this is crazy stuff. I haven't seen this here where I live in Hollywood yet, so I hope I never do. But boy, this is crazy.
Hey, Pamela, one other thing I wanted to mention that you were talking about, things that were being shut down. Notice how they haven't closed the liquor stores?
I haven't been by any liquor stores.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
You know, that's
Wow.
exactly what they want. They want people just staying home, stay inebriated, don't pay attention to what's going on, and just be a good little slave, you know?
And let all the spirits in, right, with the drinking.
Right.
Just another observation.
So far, I haven't been to a Trader Joe's and haven't waited in any lines. We have health food stores, Mother's Market, and Sprouts. And, you know, everyone's very calm in those stores. And there's a Ralph's, and, you know, they just have it organized. You go in one door and out the other. And so it didn't bother me. I just did my shopping and went out. And no big deal.
Well, I think I'm going to go. It's nice seeing everybody again, and I expect to see you next week.
Okay.
You too, Demi.
Good seeing you, Demi.
Hey, good seeing you. Good night.
Good seeing you too.
I'm going to go
Right.
too. See you guys. Great call.
Okay, thanks everyone. Unless anyone else has something they want to say, we can call it a night.
Okay. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night, everyone. Thank you,
Okay.
Jim.
Go ahead. Thanks so much.
Oh,
Good night, everyone. God bless.
Good night.
Take care, Bob. Good night, everybody.
I'm
Have a great week. Have some fun.
I'm unmuted.
Out there and go roller skating. Have some fun.
Oh,
I'll do the conga down around our drive here.
All right, just be careful there, Pam J.
I will.
yeah.
I was wanted to just add that everyone lives source frequency integrated as we are aware, and we're holding them.
Is that someone speaking?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's
Can you hear me?
That's April.
Hi.
Oh, hi.
This is
Hi, April.
I'm in
You're
Nevada.
you're
Okay,
gonna have to
thank you.
you're gonna have to turn up your volume. We really can't hear you too well. Did we lose her, Glenn?
No, we still got her. It's just I'm not sure where the mic is on this laptop. No.
Okay. All right then. Well, that's fine. We'll meet up soon. We'll figure it out.
Well, listen. April is saying, "Listen, we'll meet up. We'll meet up next time, and hopefully, we'll get this thing fixed to so people can hear her."
Okay. We'll see you next week. Same time, same place.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Phyllis. Everybody, I appreciate you all.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Jim. Good
Thanks,
night.
Willow.
Yeah.